Oh, that's not the best thing I've heard since I had my last birthday, Gwen. You know I haven't paid my car insurance because of political reasons. Okay, that's not true. But I do feel genuine disgust for the insurance industry. I mean, what have they ever done for me?
You know, many people feel that finishing school is old-fashioned. Those are people that I feel have not established a basic understanding of the underpinnings of traditional education. After all, the great persons of history have all had some association with the university system, which requires the use of rhetoric and logic. And what, after all, do you think that finishing school is all about?
Well, I guess I really don't know.
I'm not making excuses. There's an issue here. I mean, I thought insurance companies were supposed to help you out when you have a problem, you know? All mine did was send me into debt. First I paid this outrageous deductible, and then they raised my rates. Okay, you've heard it all before. But listen, Gwen, how about letting me use your car, huh?
It was just the very best thing I could imagine. You know, in all practicality, when I graduated from the University of Georgia at Auburn, I had no idea how much the use of rhetoric would come in handy. But in my business, that is when my business was a bit more prosperous, I found it to be very useful.
What kind of business did you say it was?
Is.
I'm sorry?
Is, my dear. My business is still intact. It's merely not thriving as I would like.
Well, that's too bad.
Well, don't be too sorry. I'm not destitute, you know.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to imply.
You find me a bit sensitive on this subject.
Well, maybe we should discuss something else.
All right. Well, what do you think?
About what?
About finishing school, of course.
Okay, fine, Gwen. I thought we were friends, but that's okay. I guess sharing an interest in Mel Gibson's buns isn't enough to sustain a friendship. Yeah, right. I'll remember that next time somebody has to spring for movie tickets. How do you like that?
Difference of opinion?
Yeah, I think she should loan me her car and she doesn't.
Don't you have transportation of your own?
Well, yeah, sure. I just can't drive it right now.
Mechanical problems?
You might say that.
Well, perhaps this gentleman will offer some help.
You know anything about cars?
Actually,
Well, what do you mean by that? Of course he does.
What do you mean, of course he does? Was he wearing coveralls covered in grease or something? Did he come in wearing a sign or something? What'd I miss?
actually,
Certainly not. He's just as you see him.
Then why did you say that? Like it's so obvious he's into cars and everybody in North America knows that but me.
I really don't.
I wasn't implying anything. I was merely stating the obvious.
Which is what? What?
I'm afraid I
understood you to say that you were having difficulties with your automobile, and I was merely pointing out that there is a man present and that help was at hand.
Oh, right. There's a man present. That solves all my problems.
Were you trying to say something?
Actually, I was just going to say that I don't know anything about cars.
There's
Really?
nothing wrong with my car.
Then why did you say there was?
I didn't. That was your idea.
I understood you to say that you are unable to drive your car.
You understood all right. I'm unable to drive my car because my insurance is expired.
Really?
So much for rhetoric.
My insurance expired, but I'm still driving.
I'm not as adventuresome as you are, I guess.
You know, you really shouldn't be driving without insurance.
It's against the law.
Yeah, Billy the Kid. You could get shot in the back while hanging a Louis someday.
Isn't insurance a hassle? It's such an enormous industry. It seems almost corrupt to me. They take in all this money, then they invest it, which increases the risk. Then they turn around and raise the premiums every time you file a claim. The cost just keeps spiraling.
Insurance is a high-profit, low-overhead business venture. Probably something I should look into.
You know, that spiraling effect is especially true of health insurance. Medical care is so expensive and there's no cost control. Unless a hospital consolidates its services, it has to charge an arm and a leg for routine procedures. The more expensive the procedure, the higher standard for private practice. There's just no end to it.
Are you married to a doctor or something?
Not quite.
You're not quite married or he's not quite a doctor?
Right on both counts.
How wise of you to marry a professional.
Oh, well, I met him in college, and at the time, I wasn't so sure what I really thought about him. He was in a fraternity, and at first I didn't really think he was serious about being a doctor. I thought he'd just want to make a lot of money, or that's what his parents wanted him to do. I didn't think it was his passion, but it is. He really wants to help people. He could have gone into plastic surgery if he wanted to make a lot of money, but he's discussing opening a clinic for people who just can't afford the fees. He's an ethical person, and that's what attracted me to him. When he first talked about going to medical school, I admit I was suspicious. I asked him, "Oh, how fancy is your office going to be?" But he said, "It just isn't fair. Insurance barely covers the cost of medical care as it is, and there are hundreds of people out there who can barely afford to be treated. It takes a special person to do what he does."
He sounds too good to be true.
I'd be crazy about him even if he were a truck driver.
How quaint!
Yeah, don't let her get to you. With your looks, you can afford to be quaint.
How about you? Is there someone special in your life?
Are you blushing?
No.
I notice nobody even asks me about my love life.
Well, tell us about yours then. Will it take long?
You'd still be working on a 3-minute egg long after I'd finished.
Come now, I'm sure you're being much too hard on yourself.
Easy for you to say. You've probably been married since there were dinosaurs.
I think our society has a problem with marriage. People nowadays just don't want to spend the time and energy it takes to keep a marriage strong and healthy. We get so busy with the routine things that we forget how important it is to make time for the people we really care about. This may sound kind of silly, but Michael and I like to read to each other. Something romantic, fictional, like Shakespeare.
I don't think that sounds silly at all.
Well, it helps us, you know. We hear each other saying things that are, I don't know, soothing. We get so busy with the mundane, everyday things like, what'd you have for lunch and what's the balance in our checkbook? But when you speak romantically to each other, even if the words aren't your own, it's like a balm to the psyche. Michael looks so different when he's reading to me. He looks like a lover and not like the overweight medical student that I see at the breakfast table, if I'm lucky.
I have this picture in mind of something really old-fashioned like Jane Eyre. You're wearing this long flowing dress and your hair's up in a bun and you're sitting in his feet and he's got his hand on your head and he's looking up at you adoringly.
Well, it's not quite that serene. We read the dirty parts, too.
Really, I find that most extraordinary.
Are you married?
Certainly.
Isn't everyone?
Oh, I just realized we haven't introduced ourselves. My name is Rosemary O'Toole.
Mallory Ann Schwenke, Breathwaite.
Mack Conroy.
I hate my name. I will always hate my name. I will die hating my name. I thought about changing it once, but I haven't gotten around to it. One of the reasons I hate my name is because it reminds me of how lazy I've been about getting it changed. It's the nice thing about acting, you know. You can have a totally different name, and the whole world can know you by this other name, and you don't have to go into court and explain to those jolly-faced judges know anything about you anyway and couldn't care less why you want your name changed. And it could be a perfectly simple reason, like, I hate my damn name. And the judge could say no, and there you are. You have to have some deep emotional problem, and 5 psychologists will testify you'll start eating your nieces and nephews if you don't get your name changed. Well, what if your parents give you a really stupid name, like Marilee, and your last name is Roll-Along? Marilee Roll-Along. Now, who wouldn't want to change a name like that? I knew these people who had twins, a boy and a girl. They named them Cash and Carrie. Honest to God, Cash and Carrie. Imagine parents doing that to their children.
Well, I really don't agree that just because you don't care for your given name that you should be able to change it. It's a very important thing to parents, the giving of a name. I know from personal experience. When Folly and I named our son, we evaluated many things. I mean, after all, a name reflects your breeding and your gentility, your aspirations. It would wound me deeply if Beauregard changed his name.
You are not serious. You named a kid Beauregard?
It happens to be a very distinguished name and one that is traditional in Folly's family.
Well, Beau is a nice nickname.
I think it sounds rather dashing.
I've never called him Beau.
It's historical.
Historically significant.
I meant that.
Of course, there's General Beauregard Jackson, whoever he was. I heard that in an Elmer Fudd cartoon once.
Oh, do you like Elmer Fudd cartoons?
I like Sylvester.
And Tweety Bird?
I was in a road show once with an actor from L.A. He could do all those voices. Any cartoon character you could name. I don't know how he did it. He amazed me. I could never do that with my voice. All those funny sounds he made.
Oh, I know what you mean. I think it takes a certain kind of personality or an ear for those kind of things.
I can almost do Donald Duck.
He was very outgoing. I think you have to sort of be uninhibited.
Well, where is he now?
I don't know. I sort of lost track of him. Let's see. That was summer stock in Portland, so that was 1983. I was in my first operetta that summer. It was Naughty Marietta.
I'm very familiar with the works of Frimmel.
I was really looking forward to opening night because my mother was flying up from Denver. She just moved here then, but she couldn't make it. She caught a cold and got the flu, and she developed an ear infection, so she couldn't fly.
That's too bad. You must have really been disappointed. Does she get to see you perform very often?
Oh yeah, she practically raised me in the theater.
Is she an actress?
No, not really. She did make a few movies when she was younger, but we lived in California, and if you live in California, everybody makes a movie sooner or later. Well, I guess that's not really true. I sort of exaggerated.
Well, I know what you mean. The film industry is the prominent industry there.
You know what gets me about film actors? They're so typecast. I mean, they take some slob from a diner and make him a star overnight because he looks like a redneck and they need a redneck. They don't study technique. They just look at the camera where they're supposed to. It's pathetic.
I'd like to say something about acting. Acting has a great tradition. It's a natural avocation for women because it is a gracious and giving profession. I believe that redneck slob that you're referring to is not truly an actor. He's merely an object on the horizon that has a place in the camera lens. Acting by its very nature is a shared experience, and someone of that caliber has nothing to share. That's the benevolence of the art. After all, a great actress, she's incapable of deceit, because like a great woman, she enriches the experiences of those around us.
Are you talking about Sarah Bernhardt and all those dumpy old broads like that?
What I'm talking about is a great deal more than acting. I'm referring to the unique qualities of women in this world, qualities that are now almost generally ignored. The purpose of that atrocity known as women's liberation is to make women equal to men in their ability to not become pregnant and to not have to care for the children that they bring into this world. The female body, with its baby-producing organs, was not created by a conspiracy of evil sorcerers. It was created by the divine home builder himself.
Did I miss a transition here? What does this have to do with acting?
Women are uniquely gifted in their ability to release the emotions and make everything clearer. My husband Farley is very supportive of my avocation as an actress because he understands my biological need to nurture and to reproduce.
Oh, so you think it's okay for a woman to sleep with a producer in order to get a part?
Certainly not. You're missing the point entirely.
There was a point, and I missed it?
I'd like to say one more thing, and we will then conclude this discussion. Tradition uplifts women, and the theater is filled with tradition. An actress looks to her femininity and her fertility to help her with her purpose, her power, and her potential.
She says that 3 times a day. She can practice popping her peas, too.
Well, I'm a drama therapist, and in my line of work, I can help people to an extent, but I can't change their lives. When I'm acting, though, at least for an hour, I can change a person's life. That's why I love acting, and that's why I decided to incorporate it in my daily work life, where I could help people on a long-term basis instead of just an hour. I like helping people adjust to the world they have to live in.
The world can be an unfriendly place sometimes.
It can be downright hostile.
But doesn't it get discouraging? I mean, working with people who have all those emotional problems?
Well, we only use 2 or 3% of our brain. There's amazing things we haven't even tapped into yet. I think everyone has great capacities they don't even realize. You know, it seems like we all walk around and don't really look at anyone. If other people don't fit the norm, we won't deal with them. Such a shame. When I look at someone, I look beyond how they physically appear. I see their spirit. I mean, the body's just a shell. I guess I just have great faith in people. Some of my patients have incredible creativity and intelligence. It's just their approach is different. You know, we could all look at a trash can and use a different word for it and still be talking about the same thing.
Well, I heartily disagree. Language is fundamental symbolism. A trash can is a trash can, and it's used by everyone for the same purpose. If it's not used for its intended purpose, then we are dealing with behavior that is aberrant to society's norms. It's a simple standard. And if it were more actively enforced, I think the world would be a more congenial place.
That's what we need. Attitude police. When your attitude needs adjusting, just dial 911.
People have to use their imagination. When you grow up, they tell you it's a waste of time to daydream, but I don't think so.
Our dreams are the doorways to our aspirations.
Absolutely. I've seen patients become physically stronger when acting out their dreams. There's a powerful psychic connection between our hearts and our minds.
You really think so?
Speaking of minds, I'm about to lose mine. Are we getting ready to start pretty soon?
And while we're just sitting around, I might as well call my broker.
Is this the first time you've done a television show?
Yes,
Me too. I'm a little nervous. How about you?
very. Actually, I was on television once.
Yes.
But they just came and taped the play, and it wasn't like really acting for the camera or anything. I took a course in acting for the camera. It's very different than acting on the stage. Well, for one thing, there's a camera there.
Oh, yes, Walter, I'm sorry to bother you so late. It's just that I'm concerned about Mallory's mutual fund. You know we need that money for her college. Well, you told me that last month. Yes, I'm aware that this is a slow-growth investment. Your tone is somewhat patronizing. Well, all right, that's okay, I understand. Huh? But you said something different last week. You're not being very consistent, Walter. I realize that the stock market is a gamble, Walter. I wasn't born yesterday.
For a dangerous moment, the impulse swept him to kick aside the table that separated them, to sweep her into his arms and push her down on the carpeted floor, taking her among the litter of crockery and broken wine glasses, forcing her to admit what? For God's sake, that she was not the kind of woman who would respond to the caresses of an ordinary man. If she but knew he was not the same man who had abandoned her, if it hadn't been for his infernal pride and blinding jealousy, she would not belong to Count Ivan Zarkov. Would she blame him for all if she knew of his love for her? Confound her eyes.
Well, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to speak to the lenders. This is a small gain investment, and you know that the notes are due. Yes, we've been skewered by a fluctuating interest rate. That isn't exactly the 5 o'clock news, Walter. Well, let's get one thing straight, shall we? If I had won those bids on the minority contracts for the city, I wouldn't even be talking to you about cashing in on those certificates. As it is, I've had to resume my acting career in order to make ends meet. Well, thank you. That's very gracious of you. Actually, I haven't received any interesting offers. I'm just doing this ridiculous television show.
Hey, don't mess around back there.
What?
I said, don't mess around back there, please. Are you an actor?
No, I'm the plumber.
Plumber? It's funny.
Well, who are you? You want to introduce yourself?
The assistant floor director.
You're the-
assistant director, floor director, stage manager, continuity, and toilet paper captain.
Well, I'm Julia. I'm not really the plumber.
No kidding.
So are you the person that if I think my button's buttoned but it wasn't, you let me know that?
Got your own buttons. I don't do costumes.
No, what I mean is, if something isn't the way it should be to be the same as what was done before, then someone needs to correct and balance the two.
I don't do philosophy either.
Oh, what do they call that person? Continuity, that's it. You do continuity.
I just said that, didn't I?
Did you? Oh, I knew I'd heard that word someplace before.
Hi. It's really nice outside. It really cooled down. Yeah, look at all this stuff. Maybe I shouldn't be poking around back here, huh?
I don't see why not.
Hey, have you ever done any waitressing?
Me? Nah.
No, me neither.
No?
I hope they don't ask me to serve any dishes. I'm a real klutz when it comes to juggling plates. I remember this one Thanksgiving dinner where I was supposed to serve the turkey. I was about 11, and my grandmother handed me this enormous turkey on this huge platter. Well, I staggered out of the kitchen into the dining room, and about a foot from the dining room table, I lost my balance, and the turkey started to slide right off the platter. Luckily, I was about a foot from my father's chair, and he managed to catch it in time.
Wow, that was a close one. You had me on pins and needles there for a minute.
Oh, I was really feeling grown up there, too, carrying that turkey into the dining room. I remember thinking it wasn't half as big as the turkeys I was going to serve at my Thanksgiving dinners.
Yeah, I've served some turkeys at Thanksgiving myself. The worst is my Uncle Ed. This guy is so obnoxious. He's always calling me Boogums.
Boogums? That's awful.
Yeah, it is.
Well, where'd he get an idea for a pet name like that?
From my dad. Well, he used to imitate the Marx Brothers a lot, and Groucho used to do this thing, boogie, boogie, boogie.
I remember that.
Yeah, I used to think it was pretty funny, too. So because I wanted my dad to pay attention to me, I used to imitate my dad imitating Groucho. My Uncle Ed saw me doing that, and he's called me Boogums ever since.
Do they still call you that?
Yeah.
That's awful. Don't you hate that when your family won't let you grow up? My Aunt Harriet...
She married your Uncle Ozzie by any chance?
What?
Skip it. It was stupid. What were you saying?
Well, my Aunt Harriet's always teasing me about my looks.
What does she tease you about?
Well, I don't look like anybody on my mother's side of the family, and I inherited my father's complexion and crooked nose.
Your nose is crooked.
Yeah, can't you tell? I have to use a highlighter to contour it.
Yeah, well, it looks pretty minor.
Well, it takes me hours to get ready in the morning. I have to even out my skin tones, hide my dark circles, and if I don't wear eyeliner, I look like Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, it's amazing. Most beautiful women lie to me. You ask them, do you have any beauty secrets? And they lie. They say, who, me? I want to slap a little lotion on my face and throw on some mascara before I leave the house. And you know it's a lie.
Of course it is.
Most of them use a shovel to put on their makeup.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
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 Is there someone of authority here?
Well, there was a little while ago, but I don't know where she went.
Is there a problem?
Well, I have not seen the script.
Neither have we.
Well, I must see the script. It's imperative that I see it.
Why?
Did you know that this is supposed to be a comedy?
Well, yeah, sure, didn't you?
Comedy is a very subjective thing.
Meaning?
When I read for the part at audition, I didn't find it amusing in the least.
Maybe it was the writing.
My interpretation of the character is that she is a tragic heroine.
Well, I don't know, Mallory, but I don't think there are any tragic heroines in this show.
Tragedy is the cutting edge of comedy, but I'm sure you know that, my dear, don't you? I assumed that I was cast because of my unique qualities.
I'm sure you were.
Well, my unique qualities do not include... What was the word she used?
Who?
Some scrawny little creature with a clipboard.
Oh, yeah, I saw her too.
What did she say to you?
I asked her if we were ready to begin, and she told me to wait on the set. As I was going, she asked me what part I was playing. When I told her, she said, do you do... What was it? Do you do shtick?
What?
That's it. Do you do shtick?
What did you say?
Well, naturally, I was stunned. I had never encountered that term before. What do you suppose it means?
It means physical comedy, pratfalls, sight gags, the same nonsense over and over again.
Pratfalls.
Yeah, like the Three Stooges.
Shtick, the Three Stooges. This is not acceptable.
Oh, come on, it'll be fun.
Fun?
This is a whole new vocabulary for you, isn't it? Comedy, fun. You familiar with the term chuckles?
I do not intend to fall on my prat or any other part of my anatomy.
Guffaws?
I'm sure they wouldn't ask you to do anything dangerous.
Well, they certainly would not. I'm not a hired stunt person. I'm an actress.
Are you familiar with the term belly laugh?
As long as they don't ask me to do anything out of my range, that would just be silly.
Everybody does shtick. It means bits of a funny business.
Well, I find it hardly appropriate to use the word business and funny in conjunction with one another.
But comedy is built on gags. You think of these funny things to do and people laugh at you, just like in junior high school.
It's been a long time since I've been subjected to 14-year-old behavior, and I have no intention of subjecting myself to it now. I need to talk to someone in charge and get this shtick business settled.
You aren't thinking of quitting, are you?
Well, naturally, I wanted to honor my commitments.
Hey, there she is.
Oh, as you may or may not know, I played the lead in Troilus and Cressida when I was merely 19. My particular gift is for the interpretation of historical drama. I remember so clearly the final scene in Elizabeth and Essex when I stood erect and immobile and sent my lover to his death, all for God and country.
Doesn't sound funny.
One of my most memorable experiences is when I played a woman of Canterbury in T.S. Eliot's Murder in the Cathedral. It's a powerful, poetic play full of religious drama. I remember kneeling at the foot of the Archbishop Thomas Becket. Oh, Thomas Archbishop, forgive us that we may pray for you. I was wonderful.
What's your point?
The point is, I don't do shtick.
Okay, I love that you're quitting.
Did you hear me say anything about quitting?
Well, look. What's your name?
Mallory Ann Schwenke, Breathwaite.
Yeah, Mal, see, I don't handle the artistic end, I'm strictly technical. See what I mean? You tell me you're quitting, I'll tell the director, and the director will probably tell the producer, we'll call the casting agency, and we'll get a new actress. See how it works? So what's it gonna be?
Well, I certainly don't want to resign.
Fine. Then we're all taken care of. We're ready to go in about 5 minutes, people.
Well, now, that's taken care of, isn't it?
Yeah, you really nailed that one down. I don't see any problem.
Certainly not. There's a system in place. Things seem orderly. I don't sense any chaos. I feel that my needs will be met in this situation.
Good.
That's right. Good.
Good. So, what are you going to do if they ask you to say, slip on a banana peel?
I will employ the same strategy. Logic and reason will prevail in any situation.
Not in comedy.
I performed in comedies before. Aeschylus, The Frogs, O'Neill, Our Wilderness.
Those are some of my favorites. Yeah, when I want a good laugh, I always turn to the classics.
They certainly wouldn't ask me to do anything out of my range.
I'm sure they wouldn't. They cast you because they felt you could bring something special to the role.
As long as I'm recognized for my unique qualities. I'm sure it's obvious to all of us that the physical comedy of the kind that you mentioned earlier is the purview of the male actor. Oh, while there are some physical competitions in which women excel, those that place a premium on grace and beauty such as figure skating. The superior strength of males in competition of strength and speed and endurance is beyond rational dispute.
I bet Wilma Rudolph and Florence Joyner would have no problem with that.
Women are neither biologically nor physiologically designed for the task of heavy lifting.
Not like Rachel McLish or Mary Lou Retton. They're just freaks.
And I'm sure that applies to this kind of physical comedy as well. Women are not amusing when they're falling down. The audience simply will not accept it. If a woman falls and is injured, she might inhibit her baby-producing abilities. The survival of the species dictates that the audience be protective of the female at all times. It's a law of nature.
Your public want to allow you to land on your keister.
Precisely.
Well, I hope my public will laugh at me when I'm supposed to be funny. Laughter is better than applause. It's an involuntary response. It means the audience likes you and trusts you.
Well, I feel it is my destiny to have an emotional and religious impact on my audience.
Oh, I remember the first time I heard people applaud for me. I was in the 3rd grade and I was playing a rainfall, dancing around a bunch of kids dressed up like vegetables. I was visiting the garden, and after my visit, all the vegetables grew. I was wearing this gorgeous dress my mother had made for me. I really thought I was something. I swept through the gym like Princess Di, waving to her throngs of peasants. And I was wearing this locket my grandmother had given to me. And it was a family heirloom, and I was terrified something might happen to it. Alas, alack, and woe! If my mother, the Countess de Winterset, but knew of my tryst, she would surely fuss and bellow and generate a storm of protest unlike the world has ever seen. Where, oh, where, forsooth, is my love? Hath he neglected to make good his escape from the oppressive environs of my mother's stables? Hark! Who approaches? It is Bienjun, my consumptive sister. Ah, dear sister, you are not well today. Alas, and what ho! I'm always in a trashy condition, O benevolent sibling who's waiting her handsome stable boy. Shh! Someone may have followed betwixt me and thee. There's nothing but air. I have been followed not. Ah, sweet sister, if our mother, the Countess de Winterset, were not the cruelest of she's, would that you could spend a season in the south of France to cure your ails.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Mom's a title dame, that's a certainty.
Would that I could, out of my pittance, provide you with transit?
It'd be nice. But enough about me. More important matters are at hand. I have come to tell you that your own true love, the stable boy Joseph, is but a short distance from here.
You gave him my message then, that he was to rendezvous with me at this inn.
You betcha, forsooth. What's a consumptive sister for?
Go thee then, and conceal thyself in the shrubbery outside yon window. Knock 3 times when my true love approaches.
I go. Say, is the owner of the inn in?
He is a friend and ally, and has given this place over to us for our tryst.
Yeah? What does he charge for parties?
Go, you sister, I beseech you.
Oh, all right. I only hope it's not catch us worse cold than I have it now.
Where is my love? What keeps him from me? How I long for his lips, his eyes, his silky hair, his sinewy chest. How I live for his touch. Would that I could lose myself in his powerful embrace forever.
Stop! Speak no more, my love. I am yours.
Joseph!
Mary.
My own. But my sweet, how did you come by this place? You have been here all this time. Did our good friend the innkeeper bid you to stay?
The owner of this fine inn was in when I came in, but indeed he is not in the inn anymore. It is only you and I now, until all things pass. Until I have no longer breath nor life within me, will I be yours. Until time is no more, until the sun turns to fiery ash. Until then, and beyond that time, I will love you. I will love you with all my heart, with all my soul, and with all my might. As long as there is reason, I will think on you. As long as there is passion, I will hunger for you. As long as stars light the path to God himself, I will search for you. If misfortune takes me, still it will not stay my course. I live but to honor you, to sing praises of your beauty, and to hover in your shadow. Unworthy as I am, I will be your rod and your staff, and I will comfort you. For yea, though you walk through the valley of the shadow, you will never walk alone.
Joseph, my love.
Please, dear, I was talking.
My apologies.
Very well. I'm afraid I've lost my train of thought.
I beg you 1,000 pardons, but you may not speak of our elopement.
You are right, my precious flower. My petunia among the briars, my rose among the orchids, my orchid amidst the daisies, my columbine along the path of shrubbery.
Zooms! The shrubbery! I nearly forgot. Dear sister, are you there? Dear sister, come hither, my lover thither. What? I said, come hither, my sister, my lover thither.
I can't understand a thing you're saying. Wait a minute, I'll be right there.
Is that your poor consumptive sister that approaches?
The same.
Would that your mother, the Countess de Winterset, were as gracious as you. Your poor consumptive sister could winter in the south of France, where her ails could be cured.
Indeed, my words were the same as yours only moments ago.
Indeed? Perhaps it's the writing.
Woe is me. My life is a flurry of troubles. I'm racked with pain. I have no suitors. I am alone. Alone. The world holds no joy for me. Plague follows upon plague, misfortune after misfortune. And my dress isn't as pretty as yours. Or yours.
Ah, bien, June. Even as the poor consumptive sister of my dearest love, I would lay down my life for you, even as I would the beautiful Mary, in spite of that dress.
Thanks a bunch of bodkins, buddy.
True, you haven't long to live, but you are vibrant. You are not tossed about by the winds of ill chance, but are buffeted and remain unbruised.
In faith, dear sister, you are but to say the word, and we are loyal comrades unto eternity.
Great, you two got time for a cold one?
Well, we had plans.
Yeah, okay, never mind, I get the picture. Yeah, and while you two are plotting your elopement, at which I will obviously not be bridesmaid, I'm gonna sit myself in the bushes out there in case you know who is on the horizon.
You are speaking of our mother.
The Countess de Winterset?
The one and only.
While I have no right to say it, it is of profound confusement to me that a woman such as the Countess could give birth to two so charming and pulchritudinous daughters.
No, Joseph, don't say that.
It's too late. I already have.
Say it again if you want to, it's alright with me.
While I am only a humble stable boy, and my mother was merely a humble chambermaid, and my father, only God himself knows. My mother was God's own invention, a beautiful creature with laughing green eyes, who was genteel despite the brutal labor she was forced to endure. When I was but a wee lad, I vowed that my purpose would be to free her from the brutal slavery of that dreary work. But I did not become grown in time to save her, and she died when I was but a lad, and I was sent to the stables to slave as she did, where I have been ever since. Until one day, when my head was bent in sorrow and my heart was racked with pain, I looked up and I saw you.
I remember that day.
When was this?
I remember it well, little one. I was standing in the stable.
Wait a minute. You met her in the stable?
It was a spring day in June.
Spring in June.
She was standing in the doorway. The wind was lifting her hair like a wedding veil.
She was in the stable? My sister Mary was in the stable?
I was weary from currying the horses and had stopped to rest.
But my sister hates horses. She's never been near a stable in her life.
I had removed my shirt. Sweat was rolling down my chest. Heat steamed from my every pore.
Oh, now I get it.
His rippling muscles were engorged from heavy labor,
Oh, I knew you didn't like horses.
and he looked like nothing so much as a man in good need of a good bathing by hand.
Yeah, okay, time out here. Let me throw some rational thought on the table, alright? How are you two gonna sneak out of here, and where are you gonna go?
Wherever fortune will have us.
It's a little vague. I was hoping for an address.
Bien June, the world is a very big place, but there are always nooks in it for lovers.
There are no nooks for crooks like you vermin.
Mother!
The Countess de Winterset.
I knew I should have hit the bushes.
So this is how you repay my kindnesses to you, by trusted with my beloved daughter in a disreputable place like this.
But Mother!
Zip it up, beloved daughter, I'll get to you next. Knock off that clatter, will you? It's enough to drive a person batty.
Sorry, dear mother.
Countess de Winterset.
You had best have something amusing to say. Nice fabric. I like the way it drapes across your shoulder. That's for letting me get so close to you.
You have slapped me down many times before, Countess, not with your hand, but with your words and with your glances. This physical manifestation of your contempt for me is but little to endure compared to that, but I would just as soon do without it if it's all the same to you.
Speak your last, vermin.
If this be my last, then I will speak of your Mary, for it is with her name on my lips that I die. Mary of the restless shadows, Mary of the indigo nights, Mary of the chutes and ladders.
My daughter is a joy. You fancy her.
Fancy? Ha ha! Fancy! Fancy is but a frivolous term when compared to the acres of adulation I reserve for her.
You worship her.
I do.
You desire her.
I cannot lie. I
And
do.
do you love him?
Yes, Mother.
And
I love him.
do you think him worthy of you?
I fear I'm not worthy of him.
But he has dirt on his boots, and dung in his ears, and fleas in his hair.
But Mother, he washes up so nicely.
I will not pursue the import of that remark.
Mother, deign to understand me. Forsooth, the foolish fops you have foisted upon me have not the one quality I truly require: honesty. This stable boy you see before you has more integrity than all the princes of Halifax.
So, you see in this sturdy pile of rags a spirited stallion who will carry you to freedom. Is that it? You think you see before you the answer to a prayer and the satisfaction of your physical desire. A creature with the head of a man and the body of a Greek god. Well, I have something to say about that. I am going to tell you a story. A brief story. When I married your father, the Count de Winterset, there were murmurings in the court. It was widely held that I was not his equal. I came to the court, a clumsy girl, unable to hold a fork or drink from a goblet. But the Count married me. And do you know why? Because I had money, and lots of it.
But surely the Count had riches of his own.
Surely he did, but they were all in hock. I had the cash.
Mother, what does this mean?
This means, my dear, that you are free to go. Take this stable boy. Marry him. Wallow in the mud with him if you like. It's nothing to me.
Oh, Mother, thank you.
Way to go, Mom.
I have known many men, and I knew the Counts. I have known the ways of the flesh, but I have never known love. Perhaps, my dear, you can know the one thing that I can never give you. Perhaps you can know love. Perhaps not, but give it a shot.
Oh, Mother, I love you. And Byung-jun, I love you. And Joseph, I really love you.
And I love you, darling. More than words can express. For what are words? Scratches on a page, nicks in the vastness of time, meaningless sounds, the flotsam of thought. Fragments of knowledge, glimpses of meaning, a jumble of phrases.
Hey, you might want to read the script before you start commenting on it.
Thank you. Joseph enters the diner and sees Mary